Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
A father of 7 trying to escape officers killed in a wrong-way crash. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. Christian Zarita was pulled over for a traffic violation just after midnight on the 5 in Oceanside, but took off. When he started going the wrong way, officers backed off. He eventually crashed in Carlsbad, killing a Camp Pendleton Marine. We have team coverage on this story, including a look at the decisions officers face before initiating pursuits. We begin with 10 News reporter Jennifer Dela Cruz in Oceanside. Jennifer.
Well, Lindsay and Steve, there were countless drivers that were in danger last night traveling along the 5 freeway when this was all unfolding. CHP officers tell me this is the off-ramp that driver used to get onto the freeway, blowing right past the signs that say "Do not enter, wrong way." A double fatal crash on the 5 freeway overnight, rocking the families of 2 victims. One family tells 10 News this is Christian Zarita, a father of 7 children. His wife says he was driving this black pickup truck involved in a double fatal accident near the Las Flores overpass. Oceanside police say they tried pulling him over for not using a blinker, but he wouldn't stop, then leading them on a high-speed chase on and off the 5 and 78 freeways. That driver going the right way at times and the wrong way, up to 100 miles per hour, until crashing head-on with this Pontiac Grand Prix. The impact killing both drivers.
Wrong way collisions are very rare, but when they do occur, we're talking about very high speeds coming together.
The other victim, a 19-year-old Camp Pendleton Marine.
All of my fellow officers, we all have moments that will stick with us in regards to fatal crashes and seeing things that we do see on the roadway.
Zarita's wife didn't want to go on camera, but spoke to 10 News by phone. She said, in part, he was a very good person. He was always smiling. He was always joking around with everybody. He was a great father. He was a great husband. When asked why she thinks he ran from police, she said, "I think he panicked. He's scared of the police. He's scared of getting shot. He doesn't like police encounters and probably panicked." Another passenger in the black truck was also taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
Whether they're a suspect in a pursuit or not, you still have loss. And but any of the vehicles that they passed and came into contact with could have been, this result as well.
And we went to court and pulled some of his criminal history for Zarita and found a long rap sheet, including charges of evading officers in the past, stolen vehicles, burglary, and theft. As far as that Camp Pendleton Marine, his name has still not been released. We're reporting live in Oceanside tonight. Jennifer Dela Cruz, 10 News.
Thank you, Jennifer. And while that suspect got onto the freeway, then crossed over to the wrong side of the road twice, officers never followed him there.
Our 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala joins us live with this part of the story. And Mimi, you spoke with an expert on police practices who says that was the correct move to make.
Steve, Lindsay, Oceanside police tell me that they only followed the suspect for 3 blocks before the speeds just became too dangerous to continue. So they backed off, and the expert we spoke to says that was absolutely the right move to make.
They strictly adhered to their policy of not pursuing somebody who's driving at that speed under those conditions and also going the wrong way on the freeway.
Paul Capitelli has over 42 years of experience as a law enforcement professional, spending decades with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and also teaching other officers when and how they should pursue a suspect and when not to. Overnight, Oceanside police tried to pull over that driver for a traffic violation. Police say he just sped off, reaching speeds that became too dangerous to follow only after those 3 blocks. So they called off the chase, and instead a Sheriff's Department chopper followed from up above. Capitelli says that was the right move, especially when the suspect began driving the wrong way. Oceanside Police Department's policies require officers to consider speed and the seriousness of an offense before initiating a pursuit. So, for example, a minor traffic violation versus a serious armed robbery, officers are more likely to pursue the armed suspect. Capitella says officers acted responsibly in this case. Now, some agencies across the country have started implementing a no-chase policy. We'll tell you what Capitella thinks about that coming up at 6. Reporting live, Mimi Alcala, 10 News.
Mimi, thank you. California freeway on-ramps are typically framed by large red signs that do say "Do not enter wrong way." But Caltrans is working on another solution to deter wrong-way drivers. It says that crews are installing millions of red plastic reflectors on California freeways to alert drivers when they're going the wrong way. The plan is to place those reflectors every 48 feet on every lane. The red plastic panels are on the back side of the markers and visibly only to a wrong-way driver. Caltrans says it will take several years to have those markers on all freeways. You can follow any new developments in this story by downloading the 10 News app. A free version is available in the App Store.
60 people, including young children, had to be treated after a plane dumped jet fuel near elementary schools. This Delta Airlines plane was heading back to LAX shortly after takeoff this morning when it dumped the fuel. Children were playing outside on the playground when it happened and may have been sprayed or inhaled fumes. No one had to be hospitalized.
Insane, and I mean, you would think they would know where they're flying, over where area they're flying, and over a school. That's pretty dangerous.
Delta Airlines says the flight had an engine issue and needed to return to LAX. It released a statement saying the fuel was dropped to reduce the plane's landing weight. The FAA is investigating.
A migrant woman who miscarried in the Otay Mesa Detention Center is suing the Department of Homeland Security. Our 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is in the newsroom with the details on this. And Derek, she blames them for her baby's death.
Yes, she does. This woman is an asylum seeker from El Salvador. Her name is Rubia Morales Alfaro. She was detained back in December of 2017, and in her lawsuit, she accuses the operators of the Otay Mesa facility of feeding her and other migrants inedible food, delaying or avoiding medical care, and keeping them in cold conditions without blankets. She says as a result, she had a miscarriage a month later. We spoke to her attorney today, who tells us that she is in the U.S. still, and she is still seeking asylum. So in addition to suing DHS, she's also suing CoreCivic, which manages the Otay facility. They sent us this statement in response today, saying in part, "We don't provide the medical care at Otay Mesa. The federal government's ICE Health Service Corps is solely responsible for contracting, staffing, and oversight of any medical and mental health services provided at the facility." CoreCivic went on to say that they provide 3 nutritious meals at the facility that the staff often eats as well. ICE told us that they couldn't comment on pending litigation, but they did tell us that they provide pregnancy screenings at intake, along with prenatal care and access to specialists for women who are pregnant in custody. We also reached out to the parent agency, DHS, but haven't heard back. I'm Derek Stahl, 10 News.
Derek, thank you. Crime alert in El Cajon tonight. Police and the FBI are asking for your help identifying 2 men they say robbed a bank. They are looking for the men seen in these surveillance photos. Authorities say they walked into the Citibank on Fletcher Parkway December the 27th. They say that one of these suspected robbers went up to the teller and demanded money. The other man stayed in the lobby area. The teller handed over an undisclosed amount of cash and the men took off.
Firefighters rescued a worker earlier today who fell 12 feet into an empty water tank. This happened just before noon at the Bay System ship repair in Barrio Logan. The worker had been doing repairs on board the USS Anchorage. Rescue crews ended up having to rescue the worker from 50 feet and hoist them to safety. That worker suffered a broken leg and was taken to UCSD Medical Center. Tax dollars meant to hire more police and firefighters in Chula Vista may actually be used elsewhere. Attorney Glenn Googans wants to use $250,000 out of Measure A funds to hire a paralegal and an investigator to help his neighborhood protection unit crack down on illegal pot shops. He originally expected those positions to be funded by future marijuana tax revenues once those businesses open. The issue is being discussed at tonight's City Council meeting, which just started at 5 o'clock, so it's a few minutes underway. We'll have an update on 10 News at 7. Residents in Kensington are rushing to save a group of trees that were planted when the neighborhood was founded 110 years ago. They tell 10 News reporter Matt Boone the city wants to chop them down, but hasn't said why.
Well, you can tell which trees are slated to go. They've got these white spray-painted X's on them, but now they also have these temporary restraining orders posted on them, stopping the city from chopping them down.
Strolling down the tree-lined streets of Kensington,
just find a nice spot in the bark.
Maggie McCann posts temporary restraining orders on the neighborhood's pepper trees.
There were, in the original subdivision, pepper trees planted along both sides of the street.
She's trying to save the remaining ones from being cut down prematurely, minus one which was cut down yesterday by city crews.
I guess the consensus is that tree really didn't need to be removed either. There's also a new sidewalk poured there, so there's no trip hazard.
It did have some noticeable rot in the middle, though given the condition of the rest of the tree, she argues it was still healthy.
That's like trying to knock over a sumo wrestler. It's just not going to happen.
The big question is why. The trees have been known to cause damage to city sidewalks and curbs, but McCann argues the ones that are marked have caused little disturbance.
And it's clearly not because of sidewalk or curb damage, because both of those are in fine shape.
She suspects it may be related to the plan to underground the SDG&E utility lines in the neighborhood, though there's been little transparency on that project too.
Since we don't know how they're going to do the undergrounding and they won't tell us, we don't know what's going to happen to the trees.
The trees will be safe until February 7th, when the city can argue its defense at a restraining order hearing.
And these guys aren't going anywhere.
In Kensington, Matt Boone, 10 News.
Late this afternoon, a city spokesperson sent us a statement saying the tree removal yesterday was unrelated to utility undergrounding, saying the tree was removed because it had previously damaged the sidewalk, which had recently been replaced. They did not say what the plan was for the remaining trees.
County officials unanimously approved funding today for a new mental health center in the North County. The new psychiatric facility will be part of Tri-City Hospital in Oceanside. That building will house 16 beds and will cost $17.4 million. The old facility was closed back in August of 2018 for not meeting federal regulations. One county supervisor said the new center is part of a bigger plan to provide mental health care in the North County.
Now to a developing story. The House is expected to vote on sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate tomorrow. The move will formally trigger the start of the trial against President Trump.
As ABC's Serena Marshall explains, this comes after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tried to delay it.
After a 5-week delay.
Speaker, is tomorrow the day?
The House expected to vote Wednesday, naming the impeachment managers who will act as prosecutors and sending the 2 articles to the Senate for President Trump's trial on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The majority leader calling the delay arbitrary.
Nothing in our history or our Constitution says a House majority can pass what amounts to a half-baked censure resolution and then insist that the Senate fill in the blanks.
But that delay did lead to new evidence given to impeachment investigators just yesterday. An attorney for Lev Parnas, the indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani, provided his client's cell phone, which he says includes a trove of data, and tweeting out these videos set to music showing his client with the president and his inner circle.
New evidence always can be admitted.
Also during Pelosi's hold, the president's former national security advisor, John Bolton, offering to testify under a Senate subpoena. The president saying he may invoke executive privilege, though, to block him. McConnell is still pushing for a quick trial with no witnesses, but that decision is up to a simple majority, 51 votes. The top Democrat in the Senate telling The View.
How do you run a trial with no witnesses and documents, no evidence?
President Trump, meanwhile, pushing for a full dismissal of the case.
In terms of a motion dismiss, I don't think one would have a chance of passing until after you heard the case.
With the trial set to begin now on Tuesday, the president firming up his own legal team. Sources familiar with the matter telling ABC News they expect it to be led by White House counsel Pat Cipollone and the president's personal lawyer, Jay Sekulow. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.